The Cuckservative Movement has committed mass political suicide. What follows is the autopsy. One of the longtime themes of mine on this channel, the Heart Starboard Radio channel on YouTube, and also on my Heart Starboard Radio podcast on blogtalkradio.com/HSR Network, and the one-time podcast, American Daily Review, blogtalkradio.com/American Daily Review, and on Constitution Radio, and when I was writing on politicalpistachio.com, going back 16 months, is that Donald Trump is validating the left's crudest stereotypes of the right. He's been doing it from the beginning. I saw it from the beginning. I and many others who never Trump have been saying it, and you didn't want to listen. You just wanted to extend your collective double middle fingers and damn the consequences. Well, the consequences have come back to damn all of you, just like we said they would. Cuckservatives who have rallied to Donald Trump have tainted the reputation of conservatism forever. Mona Charen does the Jasmy's Echo Syndrome honors today in her syndicated column. It's been nearly a week since the Access Hollywood tape helped to persuade key parts of the nation that Donald Trump might have a character problem. Would you vote for a sexual predator? Asked New York Magazine. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. Choose your sexual predator, headlined the Federalist. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Yet, while rumors are flying that other shoes remain to drop, only a few women have so far come forward with stories of loutish behavior, the operative phrase being so far, by the Republican standard bearer. Natasha Stoyanov's is the most disturbing. She alleges that she had visited Mar-a-Lago for a People magazine spread on Donald and Melania Trump. That's when she was pregnant at the time. While Melania left the room to change her clothes for a photo shoot, Stoyanov recounts Trump pushed her against the wall and shoved his tongue down her throat. He backed off only when the butler announced that his wife was returning. Oh boy. Now, while it's possible that many more women will come forward with similar accounts, and they will, my guess is that Mona Charen's guess is that Trump's actual gross conduct is probably some fraction of his claim to gross conduct. I don't think there's any reason to make that assumption, but who knows? We'll see. She applies the Trump adjuster to every statement. She assumes that 90% of what he claims, even when he's boasting of unpardonable behavior, is false. I disagree with that, but assume that Mona Charen is right here, well, that just means he's a even bigger liar. I mean, there really isn't any way out of this, Trump supporters, for your guy. There just isn't. Now, some of us have argued for the past year that Trump's candidacy and his presidency, if one were to transpire, and it never will, and there was never going to, it's even less likely now, would do incalculable damage to the Republican Party and to conservative ideas. That's already taken place. He doesn't even need to get elected for that. I mean, if he did, that would just reinforce it, but that foundation has already been poured. We see one aspect of that mutilation playing out right now. In 2012, Democrats invented the absurd Republican war on women theme. It was so over the top that it began to fray and dissolve 2 years later when Senator Mark Udall was mocked as Mark Uterus for overdoing it. And he lost to Cory Gardner. But with Trump heading the Republican ticket, the war is on again. Nothing is too extreme to allege about Republicans now. Donald Trump lives down to every crude stereotype that the left has ever conjured about the right. Because, I mean, even if a given Republican hasn't grabbed any pussy, well, nominated a guy who did. You're an accessory. All of you are. I mean, if Clinton, mad scientists attempting to create the only candidate she could defeat, had concocted Trump in a laboratory, he could not be playing his role any better. That's why there's an argument to be made, I'll say it again, that this entire 2016 cycle has been one gigantic work. Trump has been in on it the whole time. He's playing his role in order to get his good, close, personal friend Hillary Clinton into the White House again. I don't know if that's true, but boy, you could certainly see it. And you see, the damage, and it's not accidental, goes far beyond one electoral defeat. Conservatives, particularly, or rather cuckservatives, particularly religious cuckservatives, hypocrites, who have rallied to Trump, have squandered their own integrity and tainted the reputation of conservatism. Why do you think that we and Never Trump are so pissed off at you people? Outraged. What you've done to us. All. Putting Hillary Clinton in the White House. Now, they signed on for all of this. They signed on for Pussygate and everything else when they saluted smartly and in effect acknowledged that all that character talk about Bill Clinton was so much bullshit. They never meant a word of it. It's just, if the other side does it, it's bad, but if our side does it, it's okay. And the blistering hell with principle, I guess. You people never stood for anything ever. You just pretended to. Across America, college students are being instructed that traditional masculinity, which has now had Donald Trump's brand's feces plastered all over it, is to blame for the rape crisis. Young men are taught that until feminism came along, their sex had been cruel and even criminal in its understanding of and treatment of women. All men are Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. That's basically what feminists can say. I mean, they can. All Republicans are like Donald Trump. Well, but there got to be some Republican men who've never grabbed pussy or cheated on their wives. Yeah, well, they're accessories because they nominated Trump. Right? The website mencanstoprape.com, for example, seeks to promote an understanding of the ways in which traditional masculinity contributes to sexual assault and other forms of men's violence against women. Let me tell you what traditional masculinity is. It's not Donald Trump. Traditional masculinity is a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Biblical monogamy, traditional marriage, God-ordained marriage. That is traditional masculinity. Traditional masculinity is marrying your wife and taking care of your wife, defending your wife. Read Ephesians chapter 5, starting in verse 25. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and blameless. So husbands also ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church, because we are members of his body. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is great, but I am speaking with reference to Christ and the church. Nevertheless, each individual among you also is to love his own wife, even as himself, and the wife must see to it that she respects her husband. That, ladies and gentlemen, that, Trumplicans, that, feminists, is traditional masculinity. But who's going to know it now? Who's going to know it now? Because so many evangelical cuckulins or recuckulins or cuctions, so many so-called Christians have sold out to Donald Trump. Who's going to know this now? I talked in the video yesterday about at length about how Christians have ruined their witness by following after Donald Trump, by making excuses, the exact same excuses that Clinton supporters used for Bill Clinton back in the day. They have forfeited their credibility. They have forfeited their witness. They have handed. Nothing could have revived feminazism except Donald Trump. And that's what so many so-called Christians have done. By supporting Donald Trump, by making excuses for Donald Trump, they have enabled, they have resuscitated feminazism. When people think about the GOP, when people think about conservatism, quote unquote, they're going to think about Donald Trump. And most particularly in the context of feminism and what traditional masculinity is and is not. And what it is not going to be, that nobody will know that. What it is not, Donald Trump is going to be held up as the new traditional masculinity. Everything, all the progress that the right had made over decades pissed right down the crapper. By and thanks to Donald Trump and his idiot supporters, his treacherous supporters. You know, conservatives saw the world differently. True conservatives, conservatives, as opposed to cuckservatives. We argued that the sexual revolution had freed men from the responsibility to treat women respectfully. If sex was no big deal, then the old rules no longer applied and women were left more vulnerable. Traditional masculinity, while it may have had some disadvantages, also had its virtues. Men who were raised to be gentlemen. You know, in other words, don't be a dick. Or whose religion required sexual restraint. Which doesn't describe Donald Trump or Bill Clinton. Attempted to live by a code. They didn't always live up to their own standards. None of us are perfect. All of us are sinners. But they had standards. Gentlemen didn't cheat at sports. Gentlemen didn't cheat on their wives. There were lots of rules about how to behave with women. None of them included groping or unwanted touching. They didn't use foul language in front of women or speak disparagingly about them behind their backs either. They didn't treat women as pieces of ass, to quote Donald Trump. Or if they did, they didn't boast about it in ghost-written novels. The sexual revolution was a project of the left, not the right. Yet the man who now represents the right, or the alt-right now, I guess, is a pure product of the left's cultural inheritance. Trump, a lifelong Democrat and still is to this day, learned about women, he told a friend who recounted it on to PBS's Frontline, from, ta-da! Playboy magazine. So what did he learn from Playboy magazine? He learned that all women are sluts, all women are whores, all women either have big tits or should have big tits, and all women are there for him to shove his tongue or his cock or whatever down their throats and use to his heart's content. Isn't that pretty much Donald Trump, Bill Clinton? Isn't that the left-wing mindset? And now Trumplicans have imported it into the Republican Party, and all the excuse-making as a consequence, the inevitable consequence of the inevitable scandals. I mean, it really shows that Donald Trump's and Bill Clinton's view of women comes straight out of Playboy or Penthouse or Hustler or Gentleman's Companion. I knew a lot of guys. I knew people at college, all right? I didn't subscribe to any of that crap. But it was around, Washington State University in the 80s, #1 party school in the country. It's kind of hard to keep any of that stuff off you and that environment. That's why the scriptures tell us, if you're in an environment, if you're in a setting where you're being tempted, run away. Get away from it. Don't test the strength of your willpower, your won't power, because it will erode and it will fail. I mean, in fact, Trump's critique of Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky was that Clinton did not choose a really beautiful woman of sophistication. In other words, Trump's criticism of Bill Clinton and of Bill Clinton's promiscuity and adulteries and sexual predations is that he did it with skanks. And Trump, only the best. Only the best, right? Yeah, they're all only beauty pageants, only supermodels, and they all have big tits, and they all do it at the drop of a hat, and they all want it, and they all want me. Yeah, that's that a classier form of being a dick. Trump is a user and abuser of people, not just women. But his disgusting behavior fits a narrative the left is spinning about sexuality and masculinity, and it's difficult to believe that that is accidental. Trump is the poster boy for toxic masculinity, not true masculinity. And every cuckservative who justifies or excuses Trump is digging the grave of conservatism ever deeper. Kimberly Ross puts this very deftly in her headline at Red State today. In the era of Trump, R stands for rationalization. Now, in an election year which could have been something great, in which we could have had an experienced, level-headed conservative, we had a field full of such candidates. Instead, we got Donald Trump. No, I'm sorry. We didn't. I didn't. God knows. But Republicans nominated Donald Trump to be president. We, as in the Republican Party, which doesn't include me anymore. And it's been downhill ever since. Beating your opponent is always the goal, and we began this election cycle way back in 2015 with that in mind. Term limits, allegedly, keep Barack Obama from running again, so we knew that Hillary Clinton would most likely, we didn't know any such thing, but as it turned out, Hillary Clinton did turn out to be the Democrat nominee and opponent for whoever won on the Republican side. Now, the intense dislike harbored in GOP hearts for crooked Hillary and Bill Clinton prompted voters to embrace charisma and I still don't define charisma the way everybody else does, apparently. And shock value first and foremost, superficial as they are, since those give the appearance of strength and defiance against the status quo while having none of the substance. And so Donald Trump became the Republican nominee. Republicans had not been unaware of Trump. They just didn't really care. They might have seen him on The Apprentice, but they never would have thought that one day he would be on a November ballot as the Republican presidential option. He was for entertainment value only. Unfortunately, too many were satisfied or wanted or preferred exclusively that option. Trump's unfitness for office goes far beyond the unserious aspects which surround his campaign. Yes, his speeches are nothing but a word salad. His policy explanations are skeletal and phony. Those he has chosen to speak on his behalf, like Katrina Pearson, regularly go on illogical rants when interviewed on the national stage. He is shaky at best when it comes to upholding, well, he doesn't uphold the basic tenets of conservatism. He represents their antithesis. As you would expect from a lifelong liberal, an unrepentant liberal, all these things point to an immature and ill-prepared candidate at a time when we desperately needed a strong, consistent conservative with experience. Now, the acceptance of the features listed above reveal the GOP's willingness to rationalize away basic candidate requirements. But nothing has been so clear in recent days as the GOP's willingness to rationalize away basic human decency in the most hypocritical fashion imaginable. Donald Trump has a history of sexual predation, whether in word or deed, and this should bother Republicans. The problem is it actually doesn't, especially to those who are so obsessed with beating Hillary that they'll take any person who slaps an R next to their name. Requiring that the GOP candidate has character is apparently too much of a burden when campaigning against a woman whose last name is the very definition of one who lacks just that. Where we should be raising the bar of principle, it's being lowered so much that it aligns with that of our worthless opponent. All the while, many of Trump's supporters encourage us to choose the lesser of two evils as though one is less evil than the other. They, too, admit we're scraping, well, they don't admit any such thing, actually. Scraping the bottom of the barrel in a year when we had the opposite available to us. There is an entire horde who does not believe that Trump, whose past and present history filled with a string of infidelities, indiscretions, and recorded bragging of assault, is capable of the sexual assault claims made against him, about which he has bragged as reported in the New York Times, People, and elsewhere. It is sickening commentary on a political party proclaiming that it is the side which respects and protects women. Republicans can no longer lay claim to anything like that. Now, I don't know if Trump's ascendancy is due in part to an undercurrent of sexism among those who claim to be Republicans, or if his rise has helped to produce it. Either way, it is a serious problem and one which does not bode well for the future of the party. If you read about Trump's sexual exploits and are not bothered by them, try changing the perpetrator's name to Bill Clinton and then read them again. If you're suddenly bothered now, then guess what, pal? Guess what, Trumplicans? You are part of the problem. The GOP of 2016 has allowed itself to be hijacked by a sexual deviant who is in desperate need of counseling for his obvious addiction, and in addition to that, is in desperate need of criminal prosecution. And all the while, he is praised for promising to make America great again, whatever the hell that means to them, or their dear leader. For these and other despicable rationalizations, The GOP richly deserves the crushing defeat that is coming its way on November 8th. And who better to deliver the final segment of this eulogy of the once late, great, grand old party than Jonah Goldberg in this week's G-File. Now, if understatements were a capital offense, I'd hang for saying things are not going well for the GOP. Some of the trolls on my Twitter feed and Facebook page have their way. I will hang regardless. So, congratulations to those of you deserving congratulations. Operation Destroy the GOP and Salt the Earth upon which it stood is going swimmingly. Technically, that would be, or acronymically, that would be Autopsy, but let's just call it ODGOP for short. Yesterday, the final phase of ODGOP kicked into high gear. Oh, and you knew, this is just, you knew this was coming. Yesterday, prior to last night's speech, Barack Hussein Obama, had largely played along with the Clinton strategy of isolating Trump from the rest of the GOP, which always struck me as being odd. Why wouldn't you go for the jugular? You know, clean sweep, run the table, sweep the GOP out of everything. When would you ever get a better opportunity than this? After a self-inflicted wound, sucking wound of this magnitude. I mean, here's what Obama said in early August, a couple of months ago. Quote, "This is different than just having policy differences. I recognize that they profoundly disagree with myself or Hillary Clinton on tax policy or certain elements of foreign policy, but there have been Republican presidents with whom I disagreed, but I didn't have a doubt that they could function as president. I think I was right, and Mitt Romney and John McCain were wrong on certain policy issues, but I never thought that they couldn't do the job." That was 2 months ago. Yesterday in Ohio, of course, Obama turned the knife like it was a Phillips head screwdriver wielded by Otto von Tindorp, a fictional serial killer who kills his opponents with a Phillips head screwdriver he turns very slowly. Here's what Obama said yesterday. "You claim the mantle of the party of family values, and this is the guy you nominate," Obama said. Told you so, Trumplicans. I told you so. And from there, it just got worse. There's the full quote from the Washington Post. You want to know? You think I'm exaggerating by calling this the GOP's autopsy and eulogy? Listen to none other than Barack Hussein Obama. But so the problem is not that all Republicans think the way this guy does. The problem is that they've been riding this tiger for a long time, Obama said, referring to those who questioned whether he was born in the United States, those who called him the Antichrist, and subscribers to other conspiracy theories. They've been feeding their base all kinds of crazy for years, primarily for political expedience. People like Ted Strickland's opponent, that's referring to Rob Portman, they just stood by while all this happened, Obama said. And Donald Trump, as he's prone to do, he didn't build the building himself, but he just slapped his name on it and took credit for it. In other words, Trump has not so much turned the GOP into the validation of every left-wing smear vomited upon the right ever, but it was always true, and Trump just brought it to the surface. And the hell of this is, the worst part of this is, he might just be right. might just be right. That's right. This is how what a cataclysm Donald Trump is for the Cuckservative Movement and the Republican Party. You people have made Barack Obama right. I don't know what to say. I mean, this is a moment I never even imagined, and yet here we are. You have made Barack Obama presidential. You have made Barack Obama right. You people have vindicated Barack Obama. Is there any wonder why I can't forgive you people? This is unforgivable. This is inexcusable. Why you people, you Trump supporters, every damn last one of you, I don't care whether you're Trumplicans or Cuckservatives, Republicans, you have done this to us. And you people are dead to me. Jennifer, you're dead to me. Doug, you're dead to me. Alex, you're dead to me. This is in the swamp of crazy that has been fed over and over and over and over again, Obama said to applause. So the point is, if your only agenda is either negative is a euphemism, crazy, based on lies, based on hoaxes, this is the nominee you get. You make him possible. In other words, hey, all you Trump supporters out there, you made Trump possible. Now, of course, Trump made himself possible. Trump is playing his role in this debacle. Strong case can be made that this is, like I say, the biggest work in American political history. And I didn't think that was possible after the Democrat financial logic bomb in 2008, but guess I was wrong. But you people, I mean, you nominated him. You nominated him. You own everything that follows. It's all on you. You people did it. You Trump supporters, those who pushed him to the nomination and those who bowed the knee to him afterwards. It's all on you people. You own it all. You have laid waste to everything we believed in. And now here's Barack Obama taking a victory lap, taunting. And you know what? I don't blame him. If I were Barack Obama, I'd have been giving this speech. Hell yeah! All he had to do was stand aside, get out of the way, and let it happen. Now, I'm happy to disagree with some and just some of this, Goldberg writes. It's not like the left base isn't fed its own brand of crazy from time to time either, or more like perpetually. It's not true that birtherism is all the GOP has been about. It's not like Obama is exempt from blame for this sorry state of affairs after spending his whole presidency trolling his political opponents and defying constitutional norms. And it's certainly true, as he said last night, that the central principle of the Republican Party is to make it harder to vote. It's certainly not true, pardon me. That's ridiculous, irresponsible rhetoric. But the point here isn't to rebut Obama on the merits. Less than a month out from the election, arguing with Obama makes about as much sense as challenging my cat to a game of Battleship. I mean, first of all, she cheats, and this befits her feline nature. The point is, Trump and Trumplicans have made it all fair game. And where are conservative policies in all of this, in this gigantic widening gyre of idiocy? Where are conservative arguments? Where are conservative policies? They're nowhere to be seen. And who is qualified to offer them? Yeah, remember conservatism? Remember principles? You know those things that you people used to claim the GOP establishment wouldn't fight hard enough for? Look what all your fight, fight, fight nonsense, look where it's gotten us. Look where it's gotten you. Barack Obama doing taunting victory laps. And he controls all the referees, so he ain't getting no 15-yard personal foul penalty to be enforced on the kickoff or any other time. For years, I've tried to tell you people that politics is a profession. Politics is a game. You have to play the game in order to win. You have to win elections in order to bring about change. The kind of change that we all supposedly wanted. You refused to play the game. You just flipped the middle finger. You unfairly condemned your own party. And then you turn around and burned down your own party by nominating Donald Trump. And now you have Barack Obama standing over you, pointing and laughing. Ha ha! And he's justified in doing so. But let me concede a few things. Yes, the media is biased against Republicans. This has been true since, if not the Mesozoic era, then at least 1960. Yes, the media is no, they're not particularly biased against Donald Trump. He was and is their greatest asset. Always has been, is now, always will be. And this is not the outrage Trump spinners want to make it. Not only is Trump an exceptionally unworthy presidential candidate on the merits, but he does everything he possibly can to maximize the endemic problems of liberal media bias. Which is why I say this may just be a work. He's playing his part. He's the foil. He's the stalking horse. He is embodying everything the left ever claimed about the right. And because the right wouldn't conform to those false smears, they went out and got somebody to do it for them. Thanks to his lizard brain narcissism, Trump would rather have awful headlines about himself and be the center of attention than have Hillary Clinton steal the limelight with her scandals. Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, liked to say, let's not step on our dicks on this or that issue. Trump is like one of those Italian barefoot peasant women who make wine by stomping on grapes all day, except instead of grapes, it's dicks as far as the eye can see, and Trump is wearing very expensive shoes. Yes, absolutely. The WikiLeaks emails provide countless vulnerabilities that might have destroyed Hillary's candidacy if she were running against a Republican. But it's not liberal media bias per se that causes the press to pay outsized attention to tales of sexual misconduct. The press always pays attention to sex. The Lewinsky scandal got a lot of media attention. A ton of it. Look it up. It was inevitable and obvious that this lecherous adulterer who bragged in print about cheating on his wives, plural, would have these skeletons in his enormous golden velvet-lined closet. But no one needed to be a master sleuth or even a run-of-the-mill opposition researcher to know this. I mean, Trump, in essence, has spent 30 years vetting himself. And you people just ignored all of it. You people wanted to be fooled. You wanted to be swindled. You wanted to be bilked. You wanted to be hoodwinked. You wanted to be screwed. Just like Trump claims every good-looking hot woman wants to be screwed by him. But with you people, it was actually true. metaphorically speaking. And you know why? Because this guy said so! When accused of being a sexual predator by Howard Stern, Trump said, "That's true!" And then he laughed in front of his daughter, whom he has affectionately called a piece of ass. I mean, does it, with a normal father, does it ever occur to him to look at his daughter with lust? Much less give voice to it or act upon it. Does it? Does it? Trump has told little girls that he would be dating them soon. If you want to write all that off as jokes, fine. But also, he said that he couldn't run for political office because of his attitude toward women. He actually said that at one time. I guess he was underestimating his political ambition. I think women are beautiful. I think certain women are more beautiful than others, to be perfectly honest, and it is fortunate that I don't have to run for political office. Well, he never had to, but he chose to do so anyway, probably following Bill Clinton's example. I mean, this is apparently a disgusting recurring theme in Donald Trump's life. And you know what? I think women are beautiful. I also think some are more beautiful than others too. But just because you find women beautiful doesn't allow you to act like a blind guy and treat women like they're the Braille edition of Playboy. But that's precisely what he said he did in the Access Hollywood tape. He said he's attracted to beautiful women, and therefore he has an inherent right to search them for contraband without even having rubber gloves on. Because Trump always goes bareback, right? Here's the thing, though. Even if you wanted to think the best of a man who disparages war heroes but insists that dodging the clap was his personal Vietnam, a serious political party would have still demanded that he submit to an internal opposition research investigation. In other words, get the lay of the land. Look before you leap. Read John Fund's piece in National Review from yesterday. Trump refused to let his own campaign do an inventory of his skeletons. They invited this! Just like Trump supporters did by nominating Trump in the first place. The guy who hires the best people was implored by the people he hired to do this basic form of due diligence, and he refused. I'm telling you, I'll say it again. I know I'm going to keep saying it. The conspiracy theory that this is all a huge work and Donald Trump is just playing a part and he's deliberately, his role, his job has been to sabotage the GOP forever. Well, I tell you what, I'm not a conspiracist, but this is just looking more and more likely. Occam's razor. Simplest explanation that fits all the facts is usually the correct one. And now we're supposed to be shocked that the Clintons found the skeletons in question? These are the Clintons we're talking about. La Clinta Nostra, the Clinton machine, the Clinton crime family. The dirtiest players in the game. It is not possible that they wouldn't have found this and used it. We're supposed to be shocked that the media is eager to report on this? Or that Newt Gingrich and Kellyanne Conway are left looking ridiculous and blindsided? My God, what planet do you live on? So yes, the coverage of Trump is an outrage. Well, I can't think of it that way. I can't think of it that way because an outrage implies surprise, and nobody has any excuse to claim to be surprised, because if you do, you are lying. I mean, this exposes what is exposed by this is how grotesquely unfair and partisan the press was to previous Republican nominees. The Trump campaign is getting the coverage it deserves and asked for. And that highlights how the coverage of past candidates was so extraordinarily unfair. Take, for example, the bowel-stewed hysteria over Mitt Romney's "binders full of women" comment. Romney said and did exactly what feminists and liberal reporters should have applauded. He wanted to hire qualified women. So he reached out to women's groups for suggestions. They sent him lots of recommendations. Binders full of them. And then he hired many of the women listed in the binders. Gee, what a monster. Or consider the claims that Romney was a racist. How stupid does that shit look now? So let's talk about these allegations against Trump. I think they're true. Maybe not all of them, but certainly enough of them, not least because they conform to what Trump confessed to in an unguarded moment. I don't think that was quite as unguarded as people want us to believe. But also because we can be sure that at least some of them were given to the media by Democrats who would have made sure to vet them. I mean, if you're going to try to destroy a guy with scandalous allegations, and you don't do your due diligence, and then it turns out that there's nothing to them, well, then not only does that backfire on you, but you don't achieve your objective of destroying the candidate you're trying to destroy. Right? I mean, Trump doesn't know jack crap about vetting, and neither do Trumplicans, but Democrats do. They're going to have all their ducks in a row. They're professionals! Unlike the amateur hour that is the formerly grand old party. I mean, I honestly cannot get my head around the fact that Hillary Clinton's closing argument in this election is sexual harassment. Oh my God. Bill Clinton's lifelong enabler has managed to turn this topic into a deadly weapon against a Republican nominee. Oh my God. This is like Godzilla turning public safety into a winning issue in the Tokyo mayoral race. But even harder to fathom is the logical Mobius strip of Trump's argument. Hillary Clinton is evil because she attacked Bill Clinton's accusers, never mind that Trump was on her side of that argument when it mattered in the 1990s. That argument could fly except for the fact that almost in the same breath, Trump says his accusers are malevolent liars. He told the crowd to just look at one of them as all the proof required to show that she's a liar. Translation, if she were hotter, it'd be totally believable that I forced myself on her. To simultaneously defend Trump on these charges while attacking Hillary Clinton requires contortions not seen outside the pages of Plastic Man. Or Doctor Strange. You've seen some of the trailers for that where the Manhattan is going down a big sinkhole and every building is folding down into it. Oh, this is just, it feels like if I won the Publishers Clearinghouse. You know how when something that of that magnitude happens and you're just stunned? It's like it doesn't seem real. That's what this whole campaign has been to me. Total surreality. Like you can't believe what you're seeing and hearing. People like Jonah Goldberg used the invasion of the body snatchers analogy 7 months ago. Boy, does it fit. People you've known, respected your entire lives, and all of a sudden they're sounding like the enemy. It's like they've been assimilated into, well, the collective.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
Now, obviously, I don't know for certain that Donald Trump is really trying to lay the groundwork for a cable TV network, although a lot of smart and informed people I know think that's the case. If you're looking for a theory to explain what Trump and campaign CEO Steve Bannon, the former head of Trump Bart News, are doing, it makes a hell of a lot more sense than this fanciful notion that he's trying to become president. Since the convention, only once did Trump make any serious effort to expand his losing coalition to a larger winning coalition. His tone-deaf, ridiculous, and utterly fake appeal to black voters. Our African-American communities are absolutely in the worst shape they've ever been in before, Trump said. Ever, ever, ever. Now, put aside how utterly absurd this claim is. Rent roots if you don't know what I mean. And how understandably offensive it is to a lot of black people. It was never intended to win black votes. It was never offered in front of black audiences, for crying out loud. Just talking about other people who weren't there, just abstractions. The campaign had this idea that white suburban women would be swayed by Trump's concern, quote unquote, for blacks. He failed, which should have been obvious from the start. And that's it. That's it. For the rest of the campaign, Trump has been whipping up his 38% of the electorate into a kind of frenzy. Some people think he's betting that he can dampen turnout generally while spiking his base to win the election. Maybe that's the rationalization they throw out there to distract from the more realistic goal. The launch of Nutter News Network. For short. Read the transcript of Trump's speech from yesterday, railing about the globalist corporate media conspiracy. It might as well be the mission statement for Bannon's new enterprise, a network that stands up to the global cabal, siphoning off our vital bodily fluids, in between commercials for water, defluoridizers, and gas masks. And of course, because Trump must sell his semen, right? Doesn't Trump sell his semen? That's got to be something. I'm sure that it was. No, I know what it was. It was mixed in with Trump water, Trump ice, whatever the hell the bottled water. I'm sure that Trump was jerking off a little bit in each bottle, because that would make it classy. Now, why has Trump done scores of interviews on Fox, aka Trump News Network, or News Channel, and virtually nowhere else the last 2 months? Because he's not interested in winning over undecideds. He's not interested in winning independents. He's not interested in winning swing voters. You know, the sort of thing serious presidential candidates do. No, he's reselling the same product to people who've already bought it so he can take the customers with him after the election. He is taking all you Trump-looking suckers with him, and you don't even realize it. You people, you Trump supporters, are a con man's dream. You are sheep that can be sheared forever. Cats that can be skinned forever. He has skinned you down to your innards, and you just keep coming back for more. Because you think that all that agony and pain is actually ecstasy and pleasure. You know, I've never had any respect for anybody on the left. But you people, I didn't think there was anybody more despicable than a left-wing nut, but I guess I was wrong. Because you people are even worse. Pathetic. Why is Trump constantly saying that if he loses, when he loses, it will be because the election was rigged? Because it wasn't rigged in his favor. That's what he means. Why is he wasting precious time attacking Republicans, a move guaranteed to shrink his coalition even further? Well, aside from the fact that he's a Democrat, and that's what Democrats do, it's because he wants the faithful to be permanently alienated from the rest of the political culture and utterly reliant on him. I thought conservatives didn't want people to be dependent. I thought they wanted people to be independent. The greatest job of a Republican presidency is when the economy is booming and the country is safe and secure and they don't need me anymore. Doesn't sound like Trump, does it? And in fairness, it's also because Trump cannot tolerate the idea that people will reasonably conclude that he's a loser and choker. So he has to lay the groundwork for the claim that the other side cheated in order to win by double digits, perhaps 400 electoral votes. Yeah, it's all voter fraud. Yeah. That was a difficult sell when it was Barack Obama winning by less than 3 percentage points, 5 million votes, and roughly 3-2 in the Electoral College. You're going to try to sell that crap with the cataclysm that's coming on November 8th? And his supporters, his suckers, will buy it! Oh, it's all rigged. Oh, they're making all the polls are all wrong. We're really way ahead. No, you're not. But that narcissistic insecurity just makes Trump all the more susceptible to Bannon's manipulation. Remember, nobody controls Trump? Yeah. I mean, Trump was such a Bannon puppet yesterday that you could almost see Bannon's fingers moving in the back of Trump's mouth. Or his arm crammed up Trump's ass. Take your pick of metaphors. So here we are, and I think nobody said it better than Charlton Heston's astronaut Taylor character in Planet of the Apes.
We finally really did it. You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
All of the idiotic arguments that Trump's cheerleaders made a year ago have been exposed as the magical thinking bullshit they always were. He can win blue states! Name one. He's expanding the GOP coalition! Really? then why are Republican Senate candidates outperforming Trump in almost every battleground state? Many of the same people who said that we have to unify the party to beat Hillary Clinton now say that dumping Trump, the only possible way to defeat her, and that's extremely unlikely to work at this late stage in the game, is treasonous. Remember when treason was a function of the rule of law, not the function of the rule of one man? And we're the first to scream that Trump voters should screw the down-ballot candidates because Paul Ryan said he wouldn't defend Trump anymore, even though Paul Ryan has not withdrawn his endorsement. If you honestly want to limit the damage Hillary Clinton will do to this country, the one and only obvious thing you should be doing is voting to keep the Republicans in control of Congress. If you think the GOP won't fight Hillary hard enough, fine. But do you think a Democrat-controlled Congress will fight her at all? I feel like Charlton Heston screaming at the Statue of Liberty on the beach is in that video I just played for you. You people blew it all up! You embraced a man who has no serious allegiance to the ideals you got rich peddling, and who had a vanishingly small chance of winning in the first place, even if he had been the disciplined candidate he deceitfully vowed he would be. And Trump is now an albatross on the party, and he will leave a Cheeto-colored stain and stench on both the GOP and the conservative movement for years to come. He has handed the left, the Democrat Party, a nuclear arsenal of PR weapons to use against us forever! If you want to limit the damage you've caused to the party, vote for Republicans down ballot. And don't vote for Trump. I mean, he's going to lose anyway. Your vote, you talk about, well, you're throwing away your vote by not voting for the only person who can stop Hillary. Trump can't stop Hillary, never could. Voting for Trump is what is throwing away your vote. Trump supporters, you're wasting your votes. He can't win. He never could. Am I stopping Hillary by voting for Evan McMullin? No, Hillary Clinton's going to carry the state of Washington by upwards of 500,000 votes, no matter who I vote for. But I'm standing by and sticking to my principles, my conservative, constitutional, originalist principles. My conscience will be clear. My fingerprints will not be on this disaster. And isn't standing on one's principles something that you people used to once claim and champion before you sold them out to follow after a New York liberal con man? And Jonah Goldberg, hey, he's going to vote for Evan McMullin too. All right, so I can look at myself in the mirror and maybe, just maybe, leave us something to build on after this catastrophe. Though I tremble at the thought. I mean, I'm ready to risk the wrath of the sweet meteor of death for withdrawing my endorsement of him.